Hi, this is James from BecauseYouWantedToKnow.com, and today we're going to be talking about some privacy concerns with Windows 10. Now, Windows 10 was just released last week, and the response has been really good. But obviously, it's been really good because it's free. Basically, if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8, it's a free download, and you get the newest OS from Microsoft for free at whatever level you were at. So if you had Windows 7 Premium, you get Windows 10 Premium. If you had Windows 8 Pro, you get Windows 10 Pro. So that is really a real change in as far as how Microsoft does things. I can't think of any time that they've ever given an OS away for free. They did give Vista away for free, but that was because of just widespread dissatisfaction with Millennium. That was like a debacle. And so this is not that. This is not like people are so upset at Windows 7 or so upset at Windows 8 that Microsoft has to do this. This is really a fundamental change in how they're going to be doing business. And it kind of merges into the discussion today over the privacy concerns. So it's important to note that these are not flaws. These are not things that Microsoft accidentally, left little holes in there and, here's a privacy concern. These are things that Microsoft had kind of planned because it's going to be one of their new ways of doing business. So let's get started. A little bit of background. One of the reasons that Microsoft is going to be giving away Windows 10 is they need a good amount of consumer penetration in order for their new kind of marketing strategy to work. Microsoft is going to be a lot more like Google and going to be a lot more like Apple when it comes to gathering data and selling ads and things like that. And so it's really important for them to get a big pop as far as Windows 10. They need to get this operating system out there because that's their new marketing strategy. That's their vehicle for basically gathering up a lot of this data and to be able to sell ads and everything else like that. Okay, so concern number one, and this is not so much a privacy issue as it is a control issue. Microsoft is saying that this is going to be the last operating system that they're going to make and just release at one big time. Once you have Windows 10, updates will come through on a regular basis. And it could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be, it's not going to be yearly. These updates are going to be coming through on a very regular basis. And some of these updates may fundamentally change parts of the software that you might be used to. For instance, a year from now, they could come out with a new browser. I know they just came out with the Edge browser, but a year from now or 2 years from now, they could come out with a completely different revamped browser, and it's just going to be uploaded in your computer, and that's it. While you have the option to not update, it's going to be a hassle. Microsoft is really doing everything possible to kind of make sure that people get the operating system, they update on a regular basis, and throughout the years, and I'm talking years, that this operating system will evolve. And it's going to evolve literally into the next operating system and the one after that and the one after that. So all of a sudden, if someone misses an update, these updates are kind of stacked one on top of the other. And if you miss one down at the bottom, well, you don't get the ones up above. So they're almost going to really be forcing you into updating. Or else it's just going to be a very, kind of cumbersome process for you. So that, again, that's not a privacy issue, that's more of a control issue. For the individual consumers, it really probably won't make that big of a difference. But I can really imagine in a business environment where you have people trained using this in a certain way, and then all of a sudden an update could come that could change just that one specific thing, and you really don't have a whole lot of control over whether or not you should update. So that is kind of number one. Number two is actually a privacy issue, okay? And it has to do with the collection of your data for the purposes of selling ads. Every person that has a user name on your device is going to be assigned an advertising ID. And that's, so if you have a home computer, and let's say dad has his own profile, mom has her own profile, and then you have a profile for the kids. Each one of those users will have an advertising ID that will collect data about, browsing, what apps that particular person might be using, what they're looking for. And it's strictly for the purposes of selling advertising. So that is something that is relatively new. I mean, they're basically saying, hey, every person that uses your computer, we're going to capture as much data as we can from them. So this advertising ID is something that is new. Again, it's not a flaw. It's not a mistake. It's just Microsoft's new way of doing business. Now, I do want to kind of bring up one thing on this really quick. Not only does it apply to this, but it applies to even some of the things I'm going to be talking about later on. Microsoft is not the only one doing this, and there really shouldn't be a whole lot of panic. If you're using an iPhone, or if you're using Android, if you're using Gmail, if you're using Google, these things are already happening to you, okay? This is just Microsoft kind of migrating into that model, into that gathering of information model that Google has, that Apple has. I mean, that's how Google has been making money all this time, giving away Gmail and giving away free software and giving away Google Voice numbers and everything else. They gave away all of those things for the sole purpose of gathering up data. So this is something that is not new. It's just new to Microsoft. So that's it. Okay. Issue number 3. So the advertising ID was number 2. So issue number 3 is your personal data. And I'm talking about like passwords and things like that are going to be synced on the Microsoft servers. The reason being is this. There's kind of a great feature of Windows 10. I think it's a great feature. To where all of a sudden they're not going to be fighting Google anymore. If you want to use Google calendars, great, no problem. They sync with Microsoft calendars. And they show up in your notifications. And your emails from Gmail show up in your notifications. And all these things. Facebook shows up in notifications. So all of these things all of a sudden is going to be a lot more integrated. For the consumer, it's great. They really did do something well. I would say from an integration standpoint, from a user standpoint. But it's just one of those things that you do need to know, that your passwords from your email, from your Facebook, from pretty much anything you use on the system are going to be saved. And it's going to be encrypted, but it is going to be in the Microsoft servers, including Wi-Fi passwords. So let me give you an example. And this is one of the reasons why they're doing it. So let's say, for instance, you go to a Starbucks and you take out your laptop, you hook up to the Wi-Fi and you get the little password, and there you go, you enter it in. When you enter it in, let's say you pull out your tablet 5 minutes later, that hotspot is there, and the password is there. So it takes passwords from one computer, puts it up in the cloud, and distributes it to your devices. It's a great concept, and it really does work. Again, the only issue that I can really see with it is that, there's always the potential for anything to go wrong. There's always the potential for someone to get a hold of your laptop. Say if your laptop is stolen, or if your tablet is stolen, or just whatever the case may be. There's going to be this time period where, this person almost has, carte blanche to do anything if you don't have a password. I'm real big on BIOS passwords, but, if you don't have a password, your password is extremely easy. If a person gets into your computer, they can pretty much kind of have the run of a lot of information. So that is just kind of the cost of a lot of these great features. They are great features, but there are some costs that are going to be associated with it. So number 3 is that a lot of your very personal data, very personal data, is going to be synced in the Microsoft servers. It is encrypted though. Now, number 4, Cortana. Cortana is great. Cortana is just like Google now. It's just like Siri, and it's great that all of a sudden it's going to a desktop. I find myself using it more and more. As a matter of fact, Windows 10 has almost kind of changed the way that I do a lot of things. Before, because I use Google Calendars, I used to strictly almost use my phone to put in everything as far as my calendars go. Now, I use Cortana. I just open it up, say, hey, I got a doctor's appointment at this time, and and it's here, and it puts it in my Microsoft calendars and my Google calendars and everything else like that, and it's great. But all of these personal assistants, and that's, again, Google Now, Siri, Cortana, all of them watch you, per se, because they need to learn about you. They need to know, okay, this person Monday through Friday leaves at 6 o'clock and they end up at this place at 7 o'clock that we'll call work. So, is there an accident? Is there this? Or is there that? Over time, they will learn your habits. Well, the only way to learn your habits is to kind of track you. So Cortana is pretty much looking, if you have a Windows phone, or if you have a Windows tablet, Windows laptop, it's always asking you, where are you? And if you give it permission just to track you, it will just literally track you as you go along, because it wants to know where you are on a daily basis. One of the other things that it also does is any apps that you use. Again, I'm like a football freak, so I have a couple NFL apps from Microsoft on there. Oh, they're from the Microsoft store. Microsoft didn't make them, but they're from the Microsoft store. So now, since it's preseason, I'm getting updates on Arizona Cardinal stuff. I did searches for Cardinals. I play fantasy football. I live in Arizona. On Sundays, it's going to see that maybe I'm going to the game, so it's going to give me travel updates. That's the cost of that feature. It's just important that you know Cortana is going to be kind of tracking your movements, reading your emails, looking at what apps you use, and trying to serve you better, trying to get to know you better. So, is it a bad thing? It really depends on how you feel about it. If you're using Siri or Google Now, you're already used to it. So, Oh, it will also be kind of searching your social media, so you might want to be a little bit careful. All right. Number 5. Number 5, there's something I want to read to you, actually. And it's an excerpt from the Google policy statement as far as privacy. Should have printed it out, but I didn't. And really, it's kind of startling. Okay, here's what it says. And you actually agree to this when you load up Windows 10. So if you've already loaded it up, you've already agreed to it. It says, we will access, disclose, and preserve personal data including your content, such as the content of your emails, other private communications, or files in private folders, when we have a good faith belief that doing so is necessary to protect our customers or enforce the terms governing the use of services. So basically, this little excerpt, and it's a huge, I mean, the privacy statement is huge, but this right here basically tells you they're going to be gathering everything. If they think it's going to help them, as far as advertising, as far as, being able to service you better. And again, these two things are tied very closely together. If they track your movements every day, are they able to kind of tell you if there's accidents along your route? Yes. But at the same time, they're also able to feed advertising to restaurants along the way. So while there's a feature to you, there's also a cost, like anything else. So that right there is just kind of an excerpt I wanted to read to you. The only thing that really kind of concerns me that I think Microsoft should have done is the default is to have all of this open for them to be able to get all of your information. And nobody reads the policy statements. Nobody reads, the Apple, terms of agreement. Nobody reads that. Google, same way. Microsoft, because this is something new for Microsoft, I think it would have been kind of cool if the default statement, if the default position was no, all your data is private, but if you want these great features, then you have to agree to this, and this. That's kind of not the way they did it. They basically, the default position is we get to see everything. And if you don't want us to see everything, well, then you can make some changes on that. So, if you have already installed Windows 10, and you haven't did like a custom installation, and you haven't went into any privacy settings or anything like that, all of this information is just flowing out there. There is something you can do about it. So there is going to be a video, and it's going to be right here. There's going to be a link to it where I'm going to have some screenshots on where you can go as far as stopping, them capturing emails, or them capturing browser data, or all of those things. So video right here. Click on that link when we're done, and it'll take you to that video with these screenshots. If you have not installed Windows 10, just do a custom installation. But it is important that you know a lot of the greatness of Windows 10, and again, I'm really impressed with it. I think they have made a quantum leap forward. I would probably say, honestly, that this OS has kind of leapfrogged the Apple OS. But there's a cost. The cost is privacy. So just realize, if you go in there and you say, okay, Cortana, I don't want you to know anything about me, it's not going to get better. It's not going to be able to anticipate a lot of your movements. If you don't want it to read your emails or your Facebook or this or that, there's a lot of notifications that you probably won't be getting. So those are just the costs of it. I would probably say, do the custom installation, read, inform yourself, just so that you know. And again, I don't want to demonize Microsoft. This is the world that we live in today. Google has been doing this for years. Apple has been doing this for years. Microsoft has just kind of caught up to it. So Personally, there really is nothing that I opted out of. I want all the features. I really do. So, but I think it's just important that people know. So again, if you've already installed Windows 10 and you want to kind of know how to turn the different privacy features on and off, right here, click right there, and that will take you to the next video. Thank you for tuning in on my video. Really, really, really do appreciate it. Please give me a like and subscribe. Bye-bye.